All right, thank you again, everyone, for being here with us. Our team is named Firepoint. And first, let's get started by finding out who exactly is on the team.
Hello everyone, I am Rocio Flores. I am a psychology major and pre-med senior.
Hello everyone, my name is Bryan. I'm a junior international studies major with a concentration in environment and development, and I'm minoring in African studies.
My name is Jared T. Ross, and I'm working on becoming a billionaire entrepreneur philanthropist.
My name is Michael Deborja. I am a nursing major with a child and youth studies minor.
Hello everyone, I'm Allyson Luber. I'm a senior biology major and a cultural anthropology minor.
So let's talk about the focus of our project. At the beginning of our team formation, we were the Thoughts and Prayers response team, working to address the past failures of responses all over the globe. However, we realized that this was too broad and we needed to narrow down our focus to who really needed us. Then it hit us. The main USF campus and a good number of us reside in California, home to some of the worst wildfires in recent decades. We decided that we wanted to specifically address the communities affected by wildfires in California. Through some more research, we found that the Red Cross and other disaster response organizations are pretty adequate at the disaster response parts of their job. However, there is a significant lack of programs and infrastructure to address the mental health of people directly impacted by wildfires long after the disaster response teams leave. Like a light bulb went off, we had found our niche community that required our assistance. Rebranding as Firepoint, we are now an organization that provides mental health support and disaster preparedness training for California communities impacted by wildfires. The majority of us were on campus in the fall of 2018 during the Camp Fire in Paradise, California. We were among those forced to evacuate campus because the air quality was so poor and only felt a fraction of the stress and anxiety brought on by the wildfire compared to the residents of Paradise. We empathize with and we are here for survivors of wildfires, and it is our hope that our mission and project reflect that. During our McGrath retreat at the beginning of the semester, we learned about the elements of design thinking: empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So when we began to rethink what our community's needs were, we followed the elements of design thinking and began with empathy, thinking about the primary concerns of our community, why they needed Firepoint, but most importantly, what they needed. We based our areas of concern on these feelings of empathy. And next, I will be passing it over to Rocio to talk about the research backing why we decided to make our primary areas of concern mental health immediately after a wildfire, mental health 1 to 6 years post-wildfire, and wildfire preparedness.
Thank you, Sarah. So I will be going over how the research helped us to refine the issue at hand and the steps necessary to improve. California researchers have spoken about the many issues that arise following a fire disaster. This includes the persistent multiple emotional struggles following a disaster, vulnerable communities struggling to recover, the outdated response tactics, and the lack of community preparation. In terms of mental health implications, 10 to 30% of survivors tend to present diagnosable PTSD and depression post-event. Studies have found a link between PTSD and substance abuse and domestic violence post-natural disaster. California fires are particularly insidious. However, due to the trauma being sustained and amplified by a distinctive characteristic of California's wildfires, they recur often in quick succession. A number of California survivors describe feeling haunted and disturbed by subsequent fires. As irrational as they know it, they feel as though the fires are stalking them. 40% of survivors don't manifest PTSD until after a 6-month period post-disaster. And this was according to a PTSD research study done in Stanford. Post-wildfire, people face the necessity to find shelter as well as home and medical insurance. In addition to the financial difficulties that come from losing everything you own, this all leads to increased rates of depression. The sustained amount of stress for an extended period of time leads survivors to manifest PTSD symptoms months following the disaster. Following the average 2-week period, many victims of natural disasters can't afford mental health services, leaving them hanging. As Erica Felix, a licensed psychologist who specializes in working with survivors post-traumatic events, said that trauma is not always quantifiable. It manifests in myriad ways that are uncountable and untracked by official tallies, and unlike the immediate damage, it unfolds over time. And now I will be passing it over to Michael.
California remains most at risk for extreme wildfire damages in the United States. The first graph, we have acres burned per year in California. Over 7.8 million acres of California's land burned in the past 5 years. 2020 saw the highest amount of acres burned with over 2.2 million acres. As a point of reference, San Francisco is only 30,000 acres in size. In terms of fires and destroyed structures, the annual estimated fires hovers around 5,000 to 9,000 disasters. 2018 saw 22,000, while this year already seeing 845 fires in just 3 months. Thousands upon thousands of families are left trapped, traumatized, homelessness, without their belongings as their life's work is stripped away from them in an instant. In reporting deaths, 2018 California wildfires had 100 fatalities out of the 160 in the past 5 years. Imagine waking up to the breaking news: California suffers another persisting blaze, then witnessing the fire at your doorsteps. Still, some people did not have the luxury of time to react. The data illustrated warns us into thinking, what is going on and why is this issue worsening? Here's why. Fire disasters are handled today with the mentality of clean up the debris and rebuild. In 2017, we've seen some major fires from Napa Valley, California, and Santa Barbara in Ventura County. Thankfully, Red Cross, FEMA, firefighters came to the rescue, extinguished the fire, and began rebuilding communities. They removed debris and they started to just rebuild everything that has been severed. But in 2018, California wildfires broke records. Were governments and programs able to spend billions of dollars and time rebuilding again? No. Then 2020 hit. 2020 had another record-breaking amount of fires in a single year. The sky is orange. All these fires burning down people's hard-earned homes and communities built, demolished. The severity of its destruction could have been better contained and prevented. What people deserve is to be aware of risks, community plans, and potential hazards in the area. What people deserve is the right to be held, to heal, and to prosper in the face of adversity. Fire response has to change. So what should we do to stop the fire disaster response from spiraling downwards? Trust in FirePoint. Let's take a look how we plan on implementing our mental health and disaster preparedness services.
To deliver these mental health and wildfire preparedness services, we want to do it both digitally and physically, starting off just digitally and then eventually moving to physical and digital services being offered to California communities at risk. Here you can see an example of what our digital presence may actually look like in the form of an Instagram post. Here we're reaching out to people who have been affected by the 2018 Paradise Fire and letting them know that we're available for them to help them process through those events, which is a perfect embodiment of our view of longer-term disaster response.
This next portion of the presentation, I'll be talking about the finalizations of FirePoint, which includes our passion, our flame, and the core pillars of why we're implementing this project. After natural disasters, specifically wildfires, it's not just rebuilding that needs to take place, but we believe restoration as well. From our research, it appears that many disaster relief programs fall short in the category of restoring hope in people. Our aim with FirePoint is to provide long-term mental health services to communities affected and to also educate citizens so they can be prepared before the next disaster strikes. Our hope is that wildfire victims will finish our educational programs with confidence and with better strategies, thus transformed and ready for the future wildfires that may come. Part of FirePoint's disaster preparedness educational program will include a partnership with Indigenous Wildfire Task Force that was originally developed by California State Senator Jackie Fielder. The premise behind this task force is that California tribes have had 10,000 years to hone their land management practices, including strategies like controlled burns to reduce the buildup of flammable trees. And so the ultimate goal of this task force would be to align tribal, federal, CAL FIRE, and state level management practices to maximize our best odds for collective survival. The road to recovery from wildfires is a long one indeed, but there is always strength in numbers and collaboration. Now, many of you know the story of Noah's Ark from the book of Genesis in the Bible, in which God sent a flood to earth, but Noah, his family, and the animals were kept safe through the ark. After the flood, Noah sent a dove to find land, in which it brought back a freshly plucked olive leaf, symbolizing hope, peace, and restoration. In other words, that olive leaf was a sign that despite this disastrous event, everything will be okay, that there is hope. In a way, FirePoint is like that dove with the olive leaf. We are here to send people a hope. We're here to be their peace by providing these affected populations with mental health services and educational programs. Lastly, said best by USF's Dean of Education, Dean Shabnam Azad, justice is humanizing. This is essentially what we want to fulfill, and it's our main core of FirePoint. We want to be people for people by addressing relief discrepancies. There are already numerous first responder programs that do an amazing job with medical aid and rebuilding infrastructure, but communities are still lacking with the restoration part. These communities are forever changed by wildfires, and they shouldn't have to grieve alone. That's why we are here. We are FirePoint, and we are to provide people with a safe haven to promote healing and to also walk with them through this transitional period of their lives. Next, Jared will be talking about our funding.
In order to offer our services free of charge to the communities we'll be impacting, we want to have some streams of revenue coming into the business. So we do want to have merchandise available for people who are impacted by us and our help to be able to support our cause and better serve future communities. We also want to have grants and donations being accepted from private donors and government organizations. On the corporate side, we do want to partner with for-profit businesses who are willing to sponsor certain endeavors and events when they do occur. Over the next 5 years, we have a gradual rollout plan. Year one, we want to just start by building our online presence, reaching out to these California communities. Year two, we want to expand to offer California communities both digital and in-person services. Year three, we want to expand those digital and physical services to the entire West Coast. And year 4 and 5, we want to continue covering more and more of the Western United States until eventually we have from Texas west. So with that said, we want to give you a big thank you for coming to our room and spending this time with us and being such a great audience. A special thanks to Bob, Michelle, the Dean Shabnam Azad, Mr. and Mrs. McGrath, the entire McGrath Scholar cohort, and all the McGrath who have come before us. Thank you, everyone, and please let us know if you have any questions.